What did separation reveal that you couldn't see up close? What do you believe God protected you from? You thought the separation made no sense, yet it changed everything. What if the very thing that broke your heart was the thing God allowed to protect you, shape you, and guide you toward His plan? This video will uncover strange reasons God allowed that separation for a season. Strange reasons God allowed that separation for a season is not just about loss, it is about growth, protection, and clarity. When separation happens, you feel pain, but God always has a reason that stretches beyond your understanding. His plan is never without purpose, even when it feels confusing. Sometimes separation is the only way God can get your full attention. You may have leaned too heavily on someone else or ignored warning signs, but when the distance came, your focus shifted back to Him. In those moments, He teaches you lessons you could not learn any other way. This message will help you see that what felt like rejection was often redirection. God's hand was moving even when you felt left behind, and those strange reasons for separation carried more love and wisdom than you realized at the time. 1. To protect you from hidden harm. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. You never saw the harm that was forming, but God did. He stepped in with separation before damage could touch you. You thought the relationship was a safe place, but underneath there were things that would have crushed your spirit. God allowed the distance so you would not be trapped in pain you didn't deserve. When you prayed for protection, this was His answer. Sometimes protection feels like loss, but it is really His love in action. God knew what you could not see with your own eyes. He removed you from people and places that were not carrying good intentions. The harm may have been slow, almost unnoticeable, but it was growing. God cut it off before it broke you more deeply. You may have been confused when it happened, but His eyes saw danger. He knew your future peace mattered more than your current comfort. The enemy wanted to weaken you through that connection. God stepped in and preserved your soul instead. Every tear you cried was proof of what you felt, but His hand was quietly pulling you out of the line of fire. You thought you were being abandoned, but you were being shielded. His love was stronger than what you lost. This separation looked strange to you at the time, but it was actually the answer to prayers you forgot you prayed. Even when people turned away, God's hand stayed on you. He guarded you because He saw what you couldn't. You are still standing because He preserved you. That separation was His way of making sure you survived. In time, you will see what He saved you from. Until then, trust that His plan was protection, not punishment. What feels like rejection is often God's defense. He allowed it because He loves you far too much to let hidden harm win. 2. To heal wounds you ignored. For I will restore health to you and heal you of your wounds, says the Lord. You were carrying wounds that ran deeper than anyone knew. The relationship only covered them up without giving you space to heal. God allowed separation so the hidden pain you kept ignoring could finally rise to the surface. Without distance, you would have kept pushing it aside. The ache of rejection is often the doorway to restoration. God uses quiet seasons to make you face what you've avoided. You thought being close to someone would ease your hurt. Instead, it distracted you from the real healing your heart needed. When God pulls someone away, He often starts working on the parts of you that were left broken. He does not expose your pain to shame you, but to make you whole. Some wounds are spiritual, some are emotional, and some are scars from the past. Separation gave God space to treat each one. If He hadn't allowed this break, you may have never faced the truth. His love refuses to let you live halfway healed. You may not like the process, but you will thank Him later. Healing always requires the wound to be touched before it can be closed. The distance gave you time to stop pouring into others and start letting God pour into you. He knew restoration could not happen while you kept ignoring yourself. Even in your tears, His healing hand is steady. What was painful to face is exactly what set you free. You thought you needed that person to survive, but what you truly needed was God's restoring power. He showed you that your wholeness does not depend on them. The more time passed, the more you realized things you never admitted before. That is how healing begins, through truth and release. It may have looked like God took something away. In reality, He was giving you back your health and your peace. You did not lose yourself in separation. You found yourself. That was the healing God had planned all along. When you are restored, you can finally step into the future He designed for you. The wound you ignored no longer controls your life. 3. To give you clarity of mind. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. When you were caught in the middle of that relationship, your thoughts were clouded. Separation gave you space to think clearly. The noise of constant conflict or confusion made it hard to see the truth. God knew you needed silence to reset your mind. Clarity is often born in quietness. God allows the distance so your heart and mind can finally breathe. You may have thought things were fine, but confusion kept weighing you down. Separation became the lens that made the truth visible. When your thoughts were tied up in someone else, you could not focus on God's voice. He cleared the path by pulling you aside. It feels strange to be alone, but that is where clarity is found. It is the place where you stop hearing lies and start hearing the truth. Your peace was buried under constant noise. God separated you so you could begin meditating on what is pure and lovely. Sometimes the absence of someone speaks louder than their presence. In the silence, you start to see reality more clearly. Clarity does not come when everything is loud and distracting. It comes when God gives you space to see with His eyes. You began to notice things you overlooked before. That is the gift of separation. It sharpens your vision. The more you sat in silence, the more the fog lifted. What you thought was love revealed itself as confusion. God was not punishing you. He was clearing your mind. He wanted you to be free from the chaos. You now see that peace is priceless. Clarity showed you that your mind needed rest to stay healthy. God values your mental and spiritual clarity. That separation was His way of giving you back focus. What looked like loss was actually a release. You were being given a mindset on truth and peace. For to correct your path, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it," whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. Sometimes you were walking on a path that looked right but wasn't. God used separation to redirect you before you went further. The relationship may have felt comfortable, but it was leading you away from His will. He corrected your steps by removing what held you back. You may not have realized you were drifting, but God did. The separation was His way of putting you back where you belong. It hurts to lose someone, but it hurts more to lose yourself. God wanted you to stay aligned with His plan. When the path grows dangerous, God speaks by removing what cannot stay. Separation is one of His clearest directions. At first, you resisted the change, but over time, you began to see how the break saved you from going too far the wrong way. You were praying for His guidance, and this was His answer. He answered with separation because you weren't hearing Him otherwise. When the door closed, you were forced to pause. That pause became the redirection your soul needed. God always corrects in love, never in cruelty. The separation was not rejection. It was His hands steering you right. Your ears heard the whisper of God saying, "This is the way." His voice became clearer once the wrong path ended. You didn't fail by being separated. You were corrected by God Himself. The correction may feel harsh, but it saved you from greater loss. He only redirects to bless. Now your path is aligned with His voice. That would not have happened without separation. One day you will thank Him for turning you back. His direction always leads to peace. The separation was the sign of His care. He loved you too much to let you walk in the wrong direction. To remove distractions. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. You thought the relationship was adding to your life, but it was actually a distraction. God allowed the separation so you could focus again. When someone keeps pulling your heart away from God, it becomes a weight. He removed it so you could run freely toward Him. The distraction may not have looked harmful on the surface, but it was slowly keeping you from God's best. You may not have noticed how much time and energy you were losing, but God did, and He stepped in with separation. Distractions are dangerous because they steal your attention without you realizing. God removed this one to protect your focus. The separation hurt, but it cleared away what was weighing you down. You are lighter now because the weight is gone. God knew you were meant to run with endurance. Distractions make you tired too soon. Your race is important, and God will not let anything stop it. He cut off what was slowing your steps. The distraction may have felt comforting, but comfort can also keep you stuck in the wrong place. When God removed the distraction, He gave you a chance to see your race clearly again. Your energy was returned to Him. You are now able to give your time back to God. He wanted your focus to be sharp. The relationship was not evil, but it was heavy. God needed you to lay aside the weight. Your life became clearer after the separation. It showed you what mattered most. You may not have asked for this removal, but it was for your good. God does not take without purpose. The separation gave you freedom from what slowed you down. Now you can run the race with endurance. If the content inspired you, please like, comment, and subscribe to Pure Inspirational. God's timing is always perfect, and even separation can carry hidden blessings when you trust His hand in your life. Be blessed.